pick good partners. No one does it alone, and there's always people who are smarter than you. So make sure you lean on the best people you can find, the best mentors you can find, because you're going to need a lot of friends on the road.
It is a pleasure and an honor to introduce Cody Stanford in this episode. I've known Cody for a while professionally and gotten to know him personally as well. Cody has been at T-Mobile for 20 plus years. He was there on day one when T-Mobile started its Un-carrier revolution, and now focuses on the digital transformation strategy and delivering customer-obsessed products, right? And it has been a phenomenal strategy. On a personal note, Cody is very focused on advancing STEM. It's something that we've talked a lot about. He's an avid runner and loves old school hip hop. Cody, welcome, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Chet. I wish I could be with you there in person. I look forward very soon to be able to see you again, but I'm thrilled to be here with you digitally and excited to talk about data with you.
Awesome. Thank you. The first question I had for you was Mike Sievert, T-Mobile CEO, publicly declared that we want to know you, our customers, better than any other company in our space. By definition, that means the IT organization has to be the best in your industry. At everything, but more importantly, turning data into insights. I'm sure viewers would like to know, what has been the secret behind your success on being the best?
Hard work, Chet. Hard work. But we don't think of ourselves as the best. What we try to be, though, every single day is focused on what matters most. And since the inception of the Un-carrier, we've gotten incredibly crisp as to what that is, and that is the customer specifically. And we've spent a lot of time listening to the customer, and data is the ultimate way to listen to customers. So that's what we've tried to take the immense amount of data that we collect on a daily basis and use to fuel insights, which I know that any of my peers out there in the industry listening to this is going to know the hardest thing to do is to find ways to use that massive amount of data to actually make good decisions for the business and to push the strategy forward. So we've started with simple concepts like, how do customers feel about the products and services they're using? How does their use of the product indicate how much they love it, how sticky it is? And so the focus on customer experience obsession has really allowed us to hone what data we care about the most. And we have, without any exaggeration, petabytes and petabytes of data coming in from the network itself, because remember, most of what we sell to our customers is the experience on the network, and all the way back through our applications and our every interaction we have in retail and in care. So all of that data has to get collected and then refined into decisions. So that's what we strive to do every day. I can't say that it's been an easy journey, and I definitely can't say that we are at our destination, but we are thrilled to be a part of it.
That's awesome. One of the crispest definition of data-driven enterprises is companies that constantly ask about how do you fundamentally change the value proposition that current customers are getting and deliver new value propositions that they haven't thought about before, right? And you have a phenomenal track record. Like T-Mobile has a phenomenal track record of really upending and delivering new value propositions to your customers. Can you walk us through how data feeds some of that, right? You alluded to it earlier. You pick up a lot of data right from the network all the way to apps. Give us a sense of how you make it happen, right? How some of the sausage is made.
Sure, I can share a couple of things. Unfortunately, it's not going to be very technological because the hardest thing to do with data is to know that you're getting it right. So what we've tried to do at the beginning of the Un-carrier revolution is ask customers what they want and then try to give it to them. So a lot of what you see us do is ask them that question at every stage in their relationship with T-Mobile. So, for example, as we think about new value propositions, we spend a lot of time doing things that are old school. We meet with customers. We have focus groups. We take that input from them, all their pain points that they say, I wish you guys could just fix this. We marry that with deep, rich contextual data about our customers that we collect from them through the relationships with care. We have an amazing care organization, and they take tons of data, network promoter scores from every single call, tons of data about why customers are calling us. And then the same thing we have in our retail, our 10 to 12,000 retail stores. We take that same rich contextual data from human interaction in the assisted space all the way into our digital space on how customers are using self-service to the app. And we try to marry that together. I'd say we get it right most of the time. But like any good digital company, I don't think it's about getting it right is not what makes digital companies amazing. It's the ability to get it right with feedback and do it iteratively and do it in real time. And I think for us in T-Mobile, that's what we pride ourselves in, which is taking that amazing real feedback from customers and saying, oh, we tried, we missed it, let's iterate. We tried, we missed it, let's iterate, and just keep doing that cycle. There's no, I don't think there's been a single Un-carrier move that we just knocked it out of the park on the first day. All of it has been an expression of what we believe our customers want, and then a continual evolution of it.
How does, it's really interesting if you think about it from a carrier point of view, just for a minute, given the industry you're in. Cycle times used to be a norm. It used to be very long, right? And you talk about, much shorter. You talk about iterations. That by definition means that the cycle times got to get a lot smaller. That's a combination of, people, process, and technology, right? Any thoughts and comments on any one of those?
I have a lot. We could fill an hour on that conversation, Jeff. But yeah, I think the essence of what our digital transformation was when we started 4 years ago was answering exactly that question, which is, what is it that we need to do to achieve that outcome? And our outcome that we were singularly focused on is velocity-based innovation. How do we increase the speed of innovation for our customers and for our frontline teams who serve our customers? And that's exactly what we've done. Every technology investment that we've made, every partner investment that we've made, everything that we've done to transform into a DevOps model has been to essentially achieve speed. I know it sounds super simple, but that was our structural and cultural impediment to delivering for our customers at a pace that they would expect it in a modern age. 12 large-scale billing releases or 7 large-scale billing releases a year is about 7,000 or 8,000 times less than what our customers expect us to be able to deliver.
Wow, that's awesome. I've in general in my conversations with CIOs and CTOs, it is we land up talking a lot about the tech stack. I would love to get your thoughts on just generally what has been your approach to the tech stack from a data point of view.
Sure. Well, data stack's been a big part of that, but our tech stack was started where I think almost every carrier started 5 years ago. We were predominantly an Oracle shop. They almost exclusively sat in our data centers and were ostensibly our systems of record archives, and both from not a data operation standpoint as well as a storage standpoint. And then we realized we couldn't feed that speed I was referring to earlier with that architecture. We simply couldn't do it. It wasn't flexible enough. It wasn't agile enough. And our developers just couldn't operate in it. It's very difficult to ask a developer who's in a DevOps model to deal with an old stack. So we've started migrating our core strategically relevant applications and data warehouses and data applications into hybrid cloud environments and into more modern non-relational databases. And DataStack's been a big part of that. Our Cassandra implementation has been a huge part of unlocking some of that speed, specifically in our our digital billing platforms and our payment platforms, which in our business is everything. We do tens of millions of payments a day, and it's not just payments for the sake of collecting money from our customers, although that's important. But if you think about how customers interact with us, making that a seamless process is really important. How you store their payment methods, making sure it's secure, and also being able to iterate quickly, deliver new products and services on top of that. So DSC, DataStax DSC is a big part of our core transactions. Where it's less core, we're using Apache, more open source, and we're starting to play around with Progress and other more open source infrastructure as well as we think about the future. But our goal is to get to a place where we have database as a platform, so our developers can literally point and click as they're building applications and deploy on database architecture that best fits the application they're working towards.
That's awesome. How the cultural shift is significant, right? And not just you're going from a culture of there's got to be a dial tone, right? And I know that was 15,000 years ago, to really being agile, right? I mean, and iterate through the process. How has the cultural part been, right? Because that is no matter what size company we're in, that's always a challenge as we're transforming.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's a part of digital transformation or transformation that we don't talk about enough because it at its core, everything that we do, even though we work in technology, we are ultimately a people business, and we achieve our results through people. So culture and the way humans interact is more important than anything that we do on the technology itself. So we had to do some major early lifts, and then we have a lot of scars about how we did it wrong, and we continue to iterate. But fundamentally, we were a product of Conway's Law, just like most of us. We were an application organized team, and it's relevant because when you organize around applications, that's exactly how the culture forms. You have moats and walls built around these teams, and they're protective. You have arms races on capabilities all over the place. So we had to do a couple things. One is we had to move away from that and move to a capability and domain-driven exercise and think as horizontally as we could about customer experiences, and then organize our teams to create those experiences regardless of the applications they were responsible for developing on. That was one big one. The second one is developing a consumer-first, a design thinking mindset in the organization. So making sure that product as a development mindset was resident in every team. So start from the customer, whether that's an internal customer like a mobile expert in a retail store, or a customer care rep, or as an actual customer of ours, or it's a back office customer who's dealing with supply chain and logistics management. And then make sure that you design that process as modern as you can, and from an agile SDLC standpoint, and design that backwards. That was another big push for us. And the last one is we were predominantly an outsourced culture. Most of our work in developing, even in our strategically core applications, was done by third-party SIs, and we're still heavily dependent on those partners. But our effort 2 years ago, and then we'll extend for the next few years, is to insource as much of that as we can, because as anyone can attest, employees that wear magenta have a very different relationship with the work that they do than our partners. We have great partners, but you always get more from your employees. So we've been moving to an in-source model for the last couple of years. So all those together really are how we're trying to move our culture forward.
I, by the way, love, and you and I have talked about this over the years, about having this really strong product orientation instead of a project orientation. Certainly very passionate about that. I think it changes the way people think about IT. They start thinking of themselves as products, which is why I love the fact that, your official title is CIO and CPO, right? I think that's awesome. And then the second thing is the whole speed component, right? Because that's something that product companies just get. You're not going to get the best products are built in the bazaar, right? Not built in the cathedral. Any comments on that? I know you've talked about it already, but in addition, how did you, getting a little bit more specific, how did you bring the cultural change to your leadership team? right? You have a fairly large organization, and it's now gotten bigger with Sprint, right? And so, any thoughts on how difficult that was and what you could have done differently?
Yeah, you keep using these past tense verbs, Jet. We are in the midst of it. I don't use any past tense verbs when I talk about what we've done, because no matter it's like chasing rainbows. Every time you get to the hill, the rainbow is just one hill over. It never feels like you're there. And by the time you get to the top of the hill that you were climbing, the technology and the development lifecycle practices have evolved. So you always have to be learning. So that's one. But what I would share is a couple of things I think has been core. Number one is I didn't do it. I stand on the shoulders of some amazing team members and leaders who work for me, and I have amazing partners like yourself that have helped, and even the CIOs before me have plowed a lot of soil. So this isn't me, but what I can share that we've done is we've tried as hard as we can to be outcome focused, because oftentimes in transforming cultures and in digital transformations, you get lost in the activity and the actions as opposed to the outcomes. So, I could cite for you the number of containers that I have and how progressive we are in our architecture. But if ultimately I wasn't able to deliver for my customers, namely in the currency of speed, it wouldn't matter. And we've tried very hard to hold ourselves to that standard. If our applications were in those modern architectural states but didn't provide more resilience and security for our customers and our frontline and our business, it wouldn't matter. So we've tried hard to do that. It helps to make better decisions. And I will tell you that over the years, we've lost our way a couple times, and we've gotten enamored with the actions and the activities as opposed to the outcomes. And every time that happens, we look back and we ask ourselves why the money went where it went, or why our energies are where they are.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you. That was very helpful. It's really interesting. It's 2020, right? And whether you're using technology in your private cloud or whether you're using the cloud, if it's not open source, right, it is hard to get all the engineers that you want to start working on it, because they want to see their contributions not just to your mission, but also to the world at large, right? They want to see themselves being a lot more than just the code they write, right, and the contribution. So I think that higher purpose serves a great need. Would you walk us through generally your, just getting on back on the tech stack and initiatives? What are some key initiatives that you have currently going on, data or related to data?
Well, I mentioned a couple earlier that we're migrating, but I would say a couple of things, which is in our Cassandra ecosystem. One of the things we're really working to do is migrate our Cassandra ecosystems into Kubernetes and move them into a true hybrid state. So we have data centers and we have applications in hyperscalers, and we also have databases that sit in both. But we need to evolve our data ecosystem and data platforms so they can exist seamlessly between those two states. So that's a huge push for us, and we also need to be able to achieve that active resilience in those states, independent of where the applications reside. It sounds easy to say; it's remarkably hard to pull off. So that's a big partnership that DataStax and T-Mobile are partnering up to get done. I know that it's been done elsewhere, but it's a pretty complicated for us. It's a pretty complicated endeavor. I think we've got 13. At least 13 different clusters now of DataStax deployments, and well over 100 nodes and growing weekly. So this is it's an important push for us. I'd also tell you that freeing ourselves from our remaining systems of record and databases of record is another big important initiative. So one of the things that we've done with resident in Cassandra and with DataStax is the API abstraction for our data that exists as almost a standard for that space. But most of our applications pull from less abstracted databases, and it makes it really hard. If velocity is the currency that you're trading in, that is a major friction drag on that. So trying to think of ways to free ourselves up from that old architecture is another huge push for us.
That's awesome. Cody, this has been phenomenal. My last question: if you were sitting in Seattle or in the Bay Area, and we had 3 or 4 other CIOs who are just embarking on their digital transformation strategy or halfway through it, what would be the one thing that you would tell them? Things that you would have liked to have known, 5 years ago or 7 years ago when you started on the journey?
It'd be hard to get it down to one thing, but I'll give you my one thing, then I'll draft one. So my one thing would be make sure you have a North Star. And not everyone's digital transformation. In fact, no one who's doing it right shares a North Star with another company, because every company has a different product, a different culture, a different tech stack, and ultimately a different goal for why they're investing all this time and energy in transforming. But that North Star, articulating it, evangelizing it, getting out there and building ambassadors around that is so integral in your success, because it will feed everybody that needs to participate beyond the leadership team, and it will engage them as well. But more than that, it will tell you when you're off track, because if you're forced to ask yourself, did this investment actually move us towards our North Star, or did some consultant just tell us that we needed to do that? And that's a big one. And the second element that I would say drafting on that is make sure that your board of directors and your executive team and your leadership team and your employees and your partners are in it for the long haul. Make sure you set expectations right. Fortitude and patience. You need fortitude and you need patience to be able to achieve this, and you need to make sure that you set those expectations up front. There is no tape at the end of the race. There is no finish line. It is a journey, and you're not embarking on a transformation that has a time-bound outcome. You're embarking on a way of operating that's going to continue to evolve. And the last, Chet, as I've told you, pick good partners. You've been an awesome partner in your former role, and DataStax is an awesome partner now. No one does it alone, and there's always people who are smarter than you. So make sure you lean on the best people you can find, the best mentors you can find, because you're going to need a lot of friends on the road.
Thank you. That was awesome, Cody. Thank you very much for taking time to talk with us. Look forward to our continued partnership, and good luck.
As do I. Thank you, Chet. Enjoy.
All right. Take care. And now I'm super excited to announce the private beta for Vector, our AI ops service for Cassandra. Skills are a problem, right? As we start building more and more apps for scale with everything going on around us, we have to focus on reskilling from not only from an education point of view, but also from software point of view, where we make it easier for folks. So we have Vector that helps us with automated expert advice, gives us continuous updates, and helps with hands-on management. Really pumped up about this. It was part of what Aaron Morton has been working on at The Last Pickle, and we're looking forward to the beta. We have a bunch of customers already signed up for it. So look forward to getting the technology out and getting your perspective on it.